Hello, everyone, and welcome back to round number 6 of this modern 10K on the NRG series here. I'm Mason Clark, joined by my co-host, Dom Harvey. Dom, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. The end is in sight, Mason and chat. Never fear, because we're coming back in here for round 6 of 8, and this is where if you're 5-0, even 4-1, you start to lick your chops a little bit, but you still got to lock in and stay focused. Even our top tables, table 1 and table 2 here in our feature matches, they can't draw yet. They still got to win one more to lock up their spot potentially. So we're going to see if they can do that right here. In front of us. So table 1, we've seen them before, and we've seen their pretty cool and unique deck before. Matthew Bailey with Standby's combo. Not totally out of the blue, right? We've seen this here and there on the fringes in Modern, but it's our tournament leader at this point, up against Carter Steichen on Domain Zoo, which, as we've seen, there's a lot that can mean in practice, but you can kind of fill in the blanks yourself from there. And then Robert Pounds on Affinity, we just saw move to 5-0 against Roger Suleiman on Blue Eye Control. So some nice feature matches for you, and we'll get you down to those in a second here.
Yeah, it's just a moment before we get that underway. And it's exciting. We've had Matthew's deck on for like a turn or two, right? But not too much. This is that Samwise combo. And Domain Zoo, a deck that's been doing really well today. We've had a lot of different players with a lot of different takes so far, just sort of rising to the top as turn 1 Leyline into Ragavon's going to come down. Dom, how is this matchup traditionally?
It's hard to gauge. So compared to something like Energy or Prowess, which I think typically are the toughest matchups for creature combo for this Sam deck. Although Matthew already has beaten a Prowess deck in this tournament today, I think Zoo's a little easier just because the Zoo decks a bit clunkier. They don't have quite as much removal, right? So there aren't these lava darts or whatever floating around. So you got a bit more time to set up your thing. When you do set up your thing, it's more likely to stick. And also, I mean, okay, classic pairing here, Young Wolf against Ragavan. But also, it's easier too, as I was about to say, very conveniently, just play some stuff and put it in front of their stuff. So maybe Sado Draco is going to make Ragavan a great attacker, but no, Steichen just has to pass back.
Yeah,
Ragavan humbled yet again by the mighty Young Wolf.
Yes, the wolf preys on the monkey. A tale as old as time. As here comes a gilded goose. Honk. Make a food. And this one of those things.
You mentioned a lot of Domain Zoo doing well, as Carter put pre-game Leyline into play. Pretty strong correlation between those two things, I think. You really see it's night versus day when the deck does have Leyline versus when it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, huge power spike for the deck. One of the appealing things about it, I talked about it earlier in the day, Dom, but when I'm looking to play decks in Modern, one of the things I'm always kind of looking for is that free win equity, right? Can I play a deck that has a good game plan that also presents free wins? And Leyline plus Scion is kind of that for a good chunk of the field.
Yeah, even the control decks in this format subscribe to that philosophy, right? With some of the Narset Days Undoing stuff, or Narset by itself, a free win against a lot of decks. Kind of same deal with Teferi, and then the variants that are doing the Icon Scepter Orange Chant thing, same kind of deal. So yeah, there's very little in Modern where it's purely fair. Like everyone has some little thing or little combo or package where if they get that together, they can feel very far ahead.
Yeah. Ragavan attacks, hits up a Seiju. Matthew stuck on one land. So, Carter would have liked a spell that he could have deployed, but pretty happy to potentially mana screw Matthew for another turn. I'm going to say it, Dom. I feel like Domain Zoo is, the Jund deck that Jund always wanted to be. Kind of like, Boris Energy is kind of a similar way where it's like it's creatures plus interaction. They're well statted and they get the job done.
Yeah, if you think about it, Domain Zoo is Jund and Azorius Control at the same time.
Well, that was my follow-up for the next round, so you can't be taking.
You do the math.
Yeah, got to give me. It's also a prison deck. You're locked in here with Scion of Draco, gaining 4, and you lose.
Great minds, Mason.
Yeah.
Great minds.
Mm-hmm.
Although this game so far, Carter not doing much attacking, controlling, or imprisoning. It's nothing is really coming together. But Bailey stuck on 2 lands, not much together over there either. So really any good threat here from Carter might push him into the lead.
We do have a Flash in hand, but there's a food
That's
in
a
play.
good threat, allegedly.
Yeah.
So I'm told.
This is an interesting spot, right? Like you can Flash on the cat and then throw away your Ragavan if Matthew wants to. But also, like I don't know, then Deflation's in the graveyard and you have an Arena of Glory in play. So like life's looking pretty good in that regard too.
Yeah, Carter offers this trade, and I think he's pretty happy either way. If Ragavan connects, great. And if you get to trade it off for the food, that's fine. The coast is clear for the follow-up Flade. So
Yeah, it's kind of an
all works out in the end.
Yeah, all roads lead to Rome here.
Yeah, Rome, sadly not a stop on the NRG series this season, but maybe next year. We'll ask Norm, see what he has to say.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing Poppergeddon, over there, and so why not us? We got Popper on our series now, which you know all too well about, as Windswept Heath is going to fetch up a Temple Garden. We're kind of close to winning here, which is kind of silly. All right, we've been given confirmation. Rome 2026 will be considered, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, though it probably won't be in Rome
Samwise.
itself. It will be, an hour out of the city in the mountains somewhere.
It is a
transit in Europe is good, so we'll be fine.
Yeah. Cauldron Familiar comes down, makes a food, and now things get a little weird, Dom. All right, Stubborn Denial in hand for Carter.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Carter is concerned, right, the Flage is face up, the arena's face up, so maybe this is just what Bailey has to do to avoid dying on the spot, but we also know, okay.
So
yeah, I guess that this just brings back the other cat for free. Fair enough.
Yeah. That gives you a life.
Samwise is going to die, and so we're still 2 pieces away, effectively, from going off and stealing this game out from underneath Carter.
All right, so we shoot down another cat. Carter gains another 3 life. Notably, Carter has Stubborn Denial in hand, so cards like Quarter Calling, which are normally a good way to find the piece you're missing, are not going to be a good plan in this game. We saw Sephiroth as a card in Matthew Bailey's deck in the few turns we saw earlier in the day. That's a card that could come down here and get us some stuff. Oh my! The Ruthless Outlaw, I believe?
The Lawbringer.
The Lawbringer, excuse me, yeah. All right, so sack the cat, kill the Flage. That's a great play.
Love it, love it.
An Amalia one of.
So now what?
I don't know. I mean, you're far from dying, but also weirdly close. This is one of the weird things about Zoo, where sometimes you have a lot of options, and other times you kind of just don't, right? Like, it's like, okay, well, I've got like stubs and bolts, so I have to kind of wait for you to do something.
But that's the weird part about this game is Bailey was on a really low resources for quite a few turns, has a bunch of cards in hand, and it's like, well, what can those be? They're spells of some kind. And probably they're either combo pieces or things that help to find other combo pieces given the time. So you definitely feel like you're on some kind of implied pressure from the Zoo side.
Okay, Ritual doing its thing. We're going to sack the Lawbringer and bring out something. Gilded Goose. Okay, that gives us another food. We have 2 cats in our graveyard, so potentially also some synergy there with Birthing Ritual. Carter's like, I'm not going to cut that. We're never getting there. As here comes a Triome into play. All right. I mean, any threat we draw, or I should say most of the threats we draw, we can Arena of Glory them out. So you do have that going for you if you're Carter. You're at least able to haste most things. But no, just a pass of the turn still.
Yeah, so Bailey now has all the time in the world. And there's Sam. We have both 2 cats ready to go in the graveyard there. So all we need to do is find that sack outlet. And we have at least 7 looks off the birthing ritual.
Yeah.
As well, so if one of those cards is Quarter Calling, which, no great shot for Betty to have played that yet, then the cats can come back in response, and yeah, there's enough there to cord for at least 1, if not 2.
All right. So we're definitely, yeah. Here come the 2 cats. Break even on food. And then,
and here's cord.
All right, cord for X's 2. And there's
This
the Stubborn
gets
to them.
sure. But we have, this is, even if this is just find some fair card like Bowmasters or Marionette Apprentice or something, that's already somewhat scary. And it's another Sam.
Yeah, so we're just back at it again, right? We still have those 2 foods in the yard, so we can still bring back the cat if you want to. It's weird. If Carter can find a threat and fade for a turn, we can maybe start to do something, but yeah. Manny's just gonna bring back the cat. Carter's gonna lose another one. We're gonna name another one. We're attacking for just 3-ish, but like I don't know, like you're talking about before, we can just nickel and dime our way to victory if need be. All right, 3 mana for something. Maybe not. All right, sending in the cats, holding back the Sam. Sephiroth comes down. All right, more
people
birthing
who
ritual.
have not seen this in action yet. The way the Sam combo actually loops and goes infinite is, and there we go. There's the sack outlet just in time. So when you have Samwise Gamgee in play, whenever another non-token creature enters, you get a food. So with Golden Familiar and anything that lets you sacrifice a creature for free, you bin the Familiar. It made a food when it came in. You sack that food, bring it back. Samwise triggers, you get the food. You drain from 1 from the cat. You sack it again and do the loopy-loop endless amount of times. And then as you saw that game, a 3-card combo is hard to set up, but even with just 1.5 or 2 of the pieces, there's still a bunch of small synergies and loops you can do, game actions you can take, and Birthing Ritual really tying the room together here, just making it so easy to find any missing piece or just to do good value stuff over the course of a few turns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really impressive. And I mean, Matthew has been in our feature match area since basically round 3. We just haven't had a lot of time to show off the deck. Our main features have just taken too long, where we've come right as we're about to combo kill. And I think this deck has a lot really going for it, Dom. So we can maybe pull up the sideboard here and take a look at what these players might be doing. But one of the things I think I really like about it is you have access to just a lot of potential different tools, even if they're not all here in our deck this weekend. You know what I mean? Like Crystal Barricade, I think, is a good example of this, of just like a card that does win against some matchups, and you just have access to it so often with both Quarter Calling and Birthing Ritual.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird card that it's not clear at a glance. Like, is this some strange combo hate card? Is it just a nice tool against like red removal or aggro decks? It's a little bit of both in practice. So the main use is going to be, this is a nice thing to find against the decks that we highlighted as some of those tougher matchups, right? Like Prowesses, Boros Energies, where protecting your stuff from Lightning Bolt, Lava Dart, Galvanic Discharge, Flage, all on an O4. So you can't even bolt that or Flage that to get it out of the way in the first place. Really effective at stymieing all of that. So, in a deck that has full Court of Calling, the rituals, and so on, like even those one-offs, you can find pretty consistently in a longer game.
Yeah, stops Belcher too, right? You have hexproof, non-combat damage doesn't do anything. So
yeah.
bizarre here. It just, there's a lot of customization here. We talked a lot about this with Belcher kind of earlier, and to some extent Storm, of like, this definitely doesn't feel like the final version of it. But there's also one of those decks too that's going to customize its slot so often by what it's expecting to see. With that all being said, let's take a look at the sideboard here about what might be coming in for this Sam deck here. We're going to start with Zoo over here. Maybe we'll head back to Sam in a second. We have 2 Doorkeeper Thrall, 2 Clarion Conqueror, 3 Consigns, a Stubborn Denial, a Pest Control, 2 Wrath, 2 Dispute, and 2 Nile Spellbomb. Dom, what's your quick hits here?
So Doorkeeper Thrall, excellent against this deck, that revolves around creatures doing things when they come in. Clarion Conqueror, I get a lot of creature activated abilities in here, so those are great too. Pest Control, pretty nice, just to clean up a lot of the smaller stuff and the food tokens. And maybe Wrathless Guys for the same purpose, and can also hit stuff like Birthing Ritual, so more expensive, but also more effective. That's a decent chunk of cards. Not sure if we can make room for all of that necessarily, but would expect, Consigns, Summon Denials, maybe to hit the bench.
Makes sense. All right,
maybe Ragavan too, just given that, Young Wolf and friends are good at getting in the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I imagine Ragavan won't be seeing much time in our feature match area for at least this round. Really quickly, though, back to the Sam deck. Some of the cards that we might potentially could be bringing in here. I mean, you have cards like Path, which is actually a great answer to a Scion. I wonder if cards like Force of Vigor are tempting. There's Leyline Binding, the Leyline, Scion, Fatal Push. There's a couple pretty good options here on the sideboard for Matthew Bailey.
Yeah, I'd want, the pushes, decays, Path, to hedge against stuff like Thrall and Clarion Conqueror, and also just the threats in general, right? And yeah, this is our first time actually seeing the entire deck in its glory during this like interstitial segment, because previously we've had Bailey in our feature match area for the past few hours, but it's always been, the backup that we go to and we maybe catch a glimpse of at the end. Our first time actually seeing this for what it is, and there's a lot going on here. So on top of the Sam combo that we explained, you have this mini Soul Trader option too. Your Warren Soul Trader, Gravecrawler lets you loop those endlessly, and then that goes infinite with a card like Sephiroth or Marionette Apprentice. You've got Orcish Bowmasters, a card we really haven't seen in any capacity until now in this tournament. You got some of those 3s in the toolbox, right? The Grist, the Lawbringer that proved so effective in that game. Sylvan Safekeeper is some nice protection there. And then the Young Wolves, Mason, which is funny. Looking at this list, there's no Yawgmoth or anything. This is just, hey, I want a green 1-drop that I can sacrifice to my Birthing Ritual or to other stuff. And there's aren't a ton of cards, even in the modern card pool, that tick all those boxes, and Young Wolf's still the best one.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see that happen there too, especially because there's one Gravecrawler, right? Like, it shows a lot of intentionality behind Matthew's deck here, where it's like, okay, I have one Gravecrawler because with the Soul Trader, I got the combo Dom talked about, but also, I want to have Young Wolf because I want to have Enabling for Value that's green for my cord. Just a lot of care put in this deck. Now, Carter is on, I think, a mulligan to 5 here. So we're going to put 2 cards back. I saw Leyline in hand, and I see a Scion here maybe going on bottom. It implies to me that maybe we have multiple Scions. This might be actually a mulligan to 6. I know we took at least 1. All right, well, 1 card going back implies to me 6 here, as we are going to see Leyline of the Guild Pact. And yeah, there is another Scion of Draco in hand here, with Wrath of the Skies being the card Carter went to keep instead of second Scion.
Luckily you won't have to Wrath of the Skies for 12 probably, and couldn't even if you wanted to. So Scion going to be safe from that one. No, collateral damage there.
Have you ever seen a Wrath for 12 to kill a Scion?
Not yet. It's on the bucket list though.
I've seen people get close, but I've never seen it happen. I've seen a lot of I can get to 9 or 10, but. All right, there's Wrath to the graveyard. This is one in hand already. We need the
So
lands.
this is that classic puzzle, right? If you see your opponent surveil away Wrathless guys, in theory, one of the copies in their deck is now out of commission, so the odds of seeing another one is lower. On the other hand, they just chose to bin one of their best cards in the matchup, so you got to think they have access to another one, probably.
Speaking of having access, Matthew here played Haywire Might, then used the food to blow up the Leyline of the Guild Pact to leave the fetch land, implying we're really valuing either surveilling or maybe Dryad Arboring. Maybe playing around something like Wrath of the
I think
Skies.
also, yeah, exactly, right? If you think this food is not long for the world regardless, then find a way to convert it into a mana source instead, preserve the flexibility on the fetch land. Yeah, it really heads up play.
Now the hard part of your Zoo deck. Okay, I have to actually start thinking. I lost my Leyline. What mana do I have and what do I not have?
Yeah, when you have the Leyline, it's like, I'll just fetch whatever, it'll be fine. Now you actually have to think about the types and how they all fit together and what mana actually casts your spells and all that good stuff.
All right, and here's another Scion coming on down.
You see a different art Sign of Draco, which lesser commentators, Mason, would be fooled by this, and they would say, "Oh wow, what color is that? It must be something different." Not us. Not on top of it.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Corbin and Devin do, as they might have to be covering Carter as the day goes on, whether another win it in or potentially at our top 8. We'll see if they can keep up. Now, Dom, I'm going to ask you an alternate question here while Matthew shuffles. True or false? There is a secret lair Mecha Godzilla Scion of Draco. Notably, this one would not be from the Ikoria set.
So that sounds like something that would be true. I have no idea if it is. I'm going to say you're trying to bamboozle me, and there isn't one.
There is. I found it when I was buying Scion of Dracos between rounds because I was like, oh, I'm missing one for my Zoo deck. It looks horrendous, I think, but you can pick it up at NRG.com if you want. It's over there. As we are going to see the Lawbringer come down and blow up that Scion.
Oh, there sure is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank God, that's disgusting. I mean, it does preserve the option of you could play 4 completely distinct arts of Sino Draco.
Mm-hmm. Which is important. It's Draco.
Yeah, one normal, one curse, and everything in between.
Yeah. All right, here's Marionette Apprentice coming down. A darling card. Everyone loves this one. Horizon Canopy. God, I remember when that card was a huge part of Modern. What a different time we lived in. Gilded Goose comes in. It looks like a Lightning Bolt here in hand for Carter. Gonna double check what Marionette Apprentice does before we do anything. And it looks like, yeah, we're gonna go upstairs to Matthew. Matthew down to 6, and this looks to be really close to lethal. As there's Wrath of the Skies for X's 2, excuse me, because there's a Arena of Glory for the land for turn. And yeah, that's just gonna kill everything, including Matthew there. And we're gonna go to a game number 3, Dom.
Who knows what art of Sino Draco will emerge in our 3rd game?
Yeah. Well, I've seen enough now that if I see a different one, I might need to get the judges involved. But wow, so many different great arts, and the Mecha Godzilla one. The real hold experience out there. Dom, I gotta say, the more I watch the Zoo deck.
I will say, in Carter's defense, I guess like most of his card choices seem somewhat, normal, responsible. The Zoo deck that we featured last round, it almost seemed like it was optimized for every art selection is as disorienting to watch as possible. Which maybe it's just how he rolls, I don't know. But the combined effect was quite something.
Yeah, it really is. I think I was gonna say here about the Zoo deck. The more I watch it play, the more I'm impressed. But also, the more it's like, this has got to be very beatable. I'll tell you what's not beatable, though, hanging out at the NRG series, as we're going to go to Elmhurst, Illinois, November 1st and 2nd. Saturday, we have a Team 10K Showdown, Standard Sealed Modern, and Sunday, Modern Showdown to wrap up the 2025 year. We will hopefully see you all there or watching along with us here on Twitch and YouTube. Make sure to follow that way you don't miss any of the action as our players are mulliganing in the feature match area, figuring out if they want to keep this action or take a new look, as it looks like both have kept 7. And we have a ley line to start things off here.
As we so often do.
All right. Ley line into Cauldron Familiar. 19 us. Pass.
Yeah, now I used context clues to work out that that was a Cauldron Familiar, but I could not have told you that otherwise because I haven't seen that out before. I can tell you that much.
Oh, that's a Store Champs one for about 6 months ago.
See, I was not winning Store Champs 6 months ago, so I would not have known.
I wasn't either. It was a participation one. As Sam YGMG come down. I actually do think I won that one. But I've done a lot of losing in the finals of these very expensive promos, which I have handled in stride in person and in the car. Have said very nice things to myself about my play. As we are going to see a Doorkeeper Thrall in hand for Carter.
I can't even win a participation trophy these days. What is the ball coming to?
Yeah, well, Dom, I believe in you. Territorial Kavu, weirdly powerful in this matchup, right? I mean, it's a card that allows you to fight over these Cauldron Familiars, get them out of the graveyard, and then potentially slow Matthew down. Excuse me. Also just very big. All right. Fetch Shock with the ley line in play. I don't know why we would do that, but I also don't know if it is that big a deal that we did. Oh, I see. Okay, this is smart. If Matthew were to go land, Haywire might activate. The ley line would die. The Draco would die to state-based actions.
Yes.
Okay. Very smart play.
I have been on the blowing up the ley line end of that before, and it feels real good. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I imagine. Okay, that's nice. I probably would have got there, but not anymore. All right, Gilded Goose comes down. That's going to also get a food. So now this Cauldron Familiar can come back if the Kavu ends up targeting it. Doorkeeper Thrall still in hand here for card. That is going to make life very hard on Matthew.
Notably, given enough time, Matthew does have a Grist to chord for to -2 and potentially kill a Doorkeeper Thrall. So we do have outs we can find.
All right, Carter is going to discard a Leyline of the Guild Pact and draw a new card. And this one, there's interesting plays too, right, Dom, where it's not like it's setting off alarm bells for Matthew, because Matthew's like, oh, okay, I've got the food. They don't want to force, my hand with the cat. Makes enough sense, None the wiser to the Thrall hiding out in our hand, as Gilded Goose is going to get in the way, and we're going to get a drain here from the Apprentice. Now, notably, Matthew on low resources. Nile Spell Bomb coming down.
Interesting. So typically, Graveyard Hate like this, not very effective at breaking up the combo, because even just a single spare food would allow them to start recomboing on top of that. So you really would want either some kind of harder hate, like a Doughty Voidwalker, Leyline of the Void style card, or something that also has other applications. So I don't know how great Spellbomb is in that role. The nice thing about Spellbomb, though, is it replaces itself, right? So the floor is a lot higher than some of those more specific hate cards.
Yeah. And it looks like, so with the cat sack on the stack for the food, looks like there's maybe a miscommunication about where we're at in the turn.
Yeah, so I'm assuming this, Force Vigor still on the stack here.
Yeah, so I think what happened is Carter popped the spell bomb to force Matthew's hand. Matthew put the cat into play, And Carter might have said something like, yeah, okay, but was still thinking. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm responding to the sacking of the food. And Matthew's like, oh, okay, my bad. One of those weird sort of, like, yeah, you sacked the food, but it's not really in play yet. So you still get to keep the cat if you're Matthew, but you don't get the drain. Now, there are cards like Fatal Push and Path to Exile in Matthew's sideboard. We have to assume at least one of those came in. As here's Gilded Goose and Carrion Feeder coming down.
Gilded Goose, just an O2, no food, no nothing, but holding off the 1/3 Doorkeeper Thrall, I guess.
Yeah. And here's Birthing Ritual. Like you mentioned, there is a Grist somewhere in the deck, so we could find that here. And if we can protect it for a turn cycle, that can answer the Doorkeeper Thrall.
Yeah, worth noting as well that Carrion Feeder can still be activated under Thrall, and Marionette Apprentice will still see creatures dying under Thrall. So that second Apprentice, not far away here from just burning Carter out.
Yeah, I mean, Carter took one from the cat being sacked, excuse me. Now you don't get to fabricate, but I mean, yeah, this Carrion Feeder represents a ton of damage here. It's also getting bigger, so if it gets, if it can like tussle in combat, then it might actually attack for a lot. We have a Flage in hand for Carter, but the Flage doesn't do anything on the ETB now, thanks to our Doorkeeper Thrall.
And with Leyline gone, Carter would have to sack both fetch lands to actually cast that thing in the first place. So he's kind of being shackled by his own cards here, to some extent.
Yeah. All right, and we're seeing the Flage get discarded. Potentially a huge play if, this game continues on for a ton of turns. And it looks like Gilded Goose is just going to jump in front of the Thrall. Carter has no effects for that. Looks like I think what maybe happened here is we have a declared damage, and now Carter wants to fetch to grow.
Yeah, because it affects how much is being dealt here. So let's see how this resolves real fast. Just clarify exactly where we are or aren't.
Yeah, I think this is a spot where I'm no judge, but my intuition would be as I wouldn't be allowed to take this back because I said, good on the goose or whatever, which implies damage has happened. But this might be a situation too where it wasn't clear / we're inferring a lot here. Those players are talking to each other. Clearly a judge is getting involved, but we'll get the correct ruling and continue play. It's a super important thing, right? Dom, I'm sure you and I have both lost tons of matches to little small errors like this, and also won because we didn't make these small mistakes.
Oh yeah, sure, that one, yes.
Yeah, that one you can relate to me on. The first part, I don't know. I'll never forget when I messed up. I had a Ghost Quarter and a Radiant Fountain against Old Affinity, and I had to play around like Galv Blast or I want to say an Ink Moth activation. And I thought about everything, and I was like, okay, the thing that makes the most sense is this one, and I say the right land but put the wrong land in play. And at that point, I wasn't allowed to take it back. And then they obviously have the card that the other land beats, and I lose. And that one is one that I'll remember until the day I die. Probably be the last one I have on Earth. Yeah,
I think any player who has played competitive Magic for long enough, you ask them, they have a few relatively minor or forgivable mistakes that, because of when they happened, how they happened, still haunt them, and even mentioning them will bring back those horrible memories. And I definitely have a deep one of those as well.
Yeah. Well, looks like we're in main phase 2 is my guess here. This is another part of the odd thing about this deck is I actually, whenever I have played this deck, fetch can still be cracked, looks to be the ruling. So, all right, so we're in the middle of damage, and we're gonna figure out if we're gonna fetch and shock. What are we doing? What are we not doing? But if you shock both in to play the Marionette, then that's gonna do a ton of damage to you. So it looks like the first fetch is gonna find Indatha. Applies to me. Maybe the second fetch is gonna get a basic or a Surveyor land, since you already have Domain. Yeah, so Floodstrand finds Indatha, Arid Mesa finds Mountain. Matthew takes 5. Temple Garden from hand puts you to 7. I mean, Dom, any creature I think is lethal.
It's fine. There can't be that many creatures in the deck, right?
Yeah,
Chat?
for sure. Well, this flage doesn't do anything, so we need to get the judge involved. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to flage.
Directly entomb that. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
also, the other thing is Bailey has another 7 looks at a creature off the birthing ritual too. So
yeah. All right, we're gonna bin cord. We're gonna get a judge down to that feature match area very quickly because none of this should be allowed to happen. As this is all supposed to have I mean, you can attack, you just wouldn't get very far. Now you activate the Gilded Goose. The Gilded Goose gets a food. The food brings back the cat, and then you sack. You're taking 2/4 from the cat's dying, from the marionette, and then the carrion feeder is getting 2 counters. I mean, maybe Doorkeeper Thrall doesn't work when tapped. Maybe I'm a little bit of a silly goose.
No, you're a Gilded Goose, Mason.
Thanks. Okay, and it looks like we conceded. Now, I think Carter was just dead actually either way, just given, we would just activate the goose, right? The goose would then bring back the cat, sack, hit anything off the marionette, sack, lethal, carrion feeder can sack itself.
Notably, marionette also triggers when an artifact dies. So the food being sacked triggers again. So that's just deterministic. Yeah.
Okay, so it was lethal, and we saw the food activation. So, we'll make sure that there is a warning applied to those players for failure to maintain game state. That is something we want to track and follow between the tournament rounds. It's not the end of the world. It wouldn't have changed this round, but it is important that we do that. But thank you all so much for hanging out with me and Dom today here in the booth. It has been great to work with you, Dom, and cover these first 6 rounds of today's 8-round event. We're going to tag out now, and we're going to let Corbin Hassel and Devin O'Donnell, better known as Doomwake, take you all home with the remaining rounds of Swiss and top 8. But it was a blast talking with you today, Dom, about Modern.
Well, my pleasure. Always great to hang out with you and to hang out with you out there in chat and ideally out of chat as well. But it's been fun. A lot more Magic to enjoy today. And then also tomorrow, I'll be home watching. And then next time around, I'll be there playing, I hope. So yeah, hope to see you all in some context soon. Take care, everyone, for now.
Yes, take care. We're at Legacy tomorrow, so make sure to follow along for that. We'll see you soon.